Hello everyone, I'm Christian Becerra, and today I will be refuting Noah's proposition on electric vehicles. His main claim is electric vehicles will replace gasoline-powered vehicles entirely in our society in the near future. His secondary claims, claim number one, electric cars are becoming more accessible and popular throughout society. Number two, electric cars are much better for our environment than gasoline-powered vehicles. And last, his last secondary claim is electric vehicles are much more cost-efficient than gasoline-powered cars. Claim number one, he stated that electric cars are becoming more accessible and popular to our society. He does not state that electric cars are more expensive than conventional vehicles at the time of purchase. In his speech, he claims that electric cars are more affordable, but according to fastcompany.com, electric cars are generally more expensive to buy than conventional vehicles. The suggested resale price for a 2018 Nissan Leaf, the world's best-selling electric vehicle, is about $30,000 in the US. And you could pick up a new Honda Civic, which is gas, for 2018 Honda Civic for less than $19,000. This includes the still available federal tax credit that's worth $7,500 that you get upon purchasing an electric vehicle at the end of the year. Also, in claim number one, he states there are also charging stations pretty much everywhere you can think of now, which allows you to be able to go on longer trips. When I did my research, the common problem and hesitation amongst consumers looking to purchase electric vehicles was the lack of vehicle charging stations. This term has been called range anxiety. According to the article, Inside Electric Vehicles, a survey conducted by Axios revealed lack of charging stations is the biggest concern for consumers who are considering an electric car purchase. The website states that the most common problem right now with electric vehicles is the lack of charging stations. Claim number two. Furthermore, he states, electric cars are much better for our environment than gasoline-powered vehicles. Among one of his first statements in his claim, he says that electric cars will help to eliminate air pollution in many cities across our Earth. According to theconversation.com, while electric cars produce no exhaust, there is concern about fine particle emissions. Electric cars are often heavier than conventional cars, and heavier vehicles are accompanied by higher levels of non-exhaust emissions. The large torque of electric vehicles further adds to the fine dust particles problem, as it causes greater tire wear and dispersion of the dust particles. This quote means that the electric cars still emit pollutants into the air. Also, claim number two, the pollution that occurs when electric cars, the pollution that electric cars create, on a statement by theconversation.com, when producing these electric vehicles, there's more pollution. So a statement by conversation.com states, cobalt, a key component of the lithium-ion batteries in the electric cars, and the nickel used in those same batteries is toxic to extract from the ground. And there are environmental concerns and land use conflicts with lithium mining in countries like Tibet and Bolivia. The article by The Guardian further explains as to why electric vehicles pollute, and also states the elements used in battery production are finite and limited in supply. This makes it impossible to electrify all the world's transportation with current battery technology. Meanwhile, there is still no environmentally safe way of recycling lithium-ion batteries. This proves that in production and destruction of the car, it will still be hazardous for the environment. On to his final claim. Vehicles are much more cost-efficient than gasoline-powered cars. I stated back in my refutation for Noah's claim in number one, I stated that electric cars are still more expensive than vehicles upon purchase and still have to be maintained. Although Noah stated in claim 3 that electric vehicles are most cost efficient in maintaining or more cost efficient in maintaining as a result of no gas or belts of kinds. Electric vehicles are more cost efficient in maintaining. However, electric vehicles cost a lot more for insurance on the vehicle, according to insurematch.com, which argues, but overall, electric car drivers should expect their insurance rates to increase. A comparison by Value Penguin found insurance rates to be 18 to 32% higher for electric over gas cars. In the end, what you save for maintenance in electric cars evens out to what you pay for insurance per month on an electric car. Thank you for this was my refutation speech. Thank you for your time.
All right, well, there's a good preview. You set up what the secondary claims are going to be. You signpost when you get to the first major point. You immediately have some statistical information that talks about the cost, so that that kind of responds to the third point also when it comes up. You're talking about the immediate cost at purchase, and I thought that made sense. When you said that included the $7,500, I'm not clear if that means that you start with $30,000 and you're going to get $7,500 back, or you get the $7,500 and then you still have $30,000 on top of that you have to pay. That would make that argument a little bit more effective, and I think that that's really the way it's going there, so that could be a little bit clearer. You present another reason why people might be hesitant to do this, and that's range anxiety, which I kind of like as a term. That's an interesting point, suggesting that people are worried about having opportunities to get a place to charge their vehicle. What's missing here is any information that suggests that range anxiety is justified, that there aren't enough charging stations, or it would not be possible for people to be able to do this, that people should in fact be worried about those kinds of things. I think you needed some extra information there. One piece of information that I think is missing from both arguments is some data about how many cars each year that are sold are electric vehicles. Have we got a trend going on here that we can see that they represent a larger and larger percentage, or is the percentage stayed relatively static? Is it price elastic when it comes to whether or not people are going to purchase? I think those would be important issues to include, but neither you or the advocate seems to have addressed those particular points. On the environmental issues, the relevance of the environmental issues has to do with either the need for people to buy electric vehicles in order to protect the environment, and so there's some kind of incentive for them to do this, or that in some way makes it more popular or desirable for people to have that. Because if the argument is that it's a prediction about what's going to happen in the near future, this is just a side benefit. I'm not sure that this is a relevant point unless you can show that would be a reason why people would purchase more of these cars, or why the governments would incentivize it more to be able to do this. You do an okay job suggesting that there are some counter issues on pollution. I'm not exactly sure that the what do they call it, micro exhaust or the non-exhaust emissions are at the same threat level as exhaust emissions are, but you do suggest that this is not a subject that has no environmental impact, and the example of the manufacturing process or the mining process that's required to get some of the materials suggests that there are problems. I do think there's a good point here suggesting that this is also a finite resource, just like any other resource, and so the notion that these are going to be renewable vehicles is not really practical at this particular point. And then at the very end, I thought you had an interesting argument about not being able to recycle the vehicles with the current kinds of batteries that they have. That sounds to me like something that would also be worrisome for people who are thinking about switching to electric vehicles, but that argument isn't really deeply developed there. The cost issue, we come back to that. I do think you have a nice piece of information here that suggests that the insurance costs are going to be enough to overcome whatever those maintenance costs are, and in the end, we have no way of evaluating it, and I think you need to do a little bit more evaluation by simply saying electric cars might be coming, but they're not coming nearly as fast as people think. The costs are still relatively high. There aren't significant advantages over the environment, and those are going to be the things that drive people's decision making. And like I said, if we had a single piece of information that talked about how infrequently people purchase these vehicles already, that would be nice. All right, thank you.